If you're not bullish on these crypto markets yet, you're probably going to be a lot closer after this video, because I want to show you some really cool signs that I've been seeing with Bitcoin right here. I'm going to be breaking down the short-term chart as well. There's a lot of resistance that we've been encountering in this range, but I also want to tell you where I think Bitcoin could be going if we get a breakout. We are looking at some really nice targets, but also continue to explore the downside, because my job here as a trader and analyst on this YouTube channel is to analyze both sides of the market and then obviously tell you which side I think we're headed in. And I've been saying for a little while that I'm expecting us to rise up, and that's exactly what we have been doing, which is very nice indeed. See, one of the coolest signs and the main thing that I want to show you right at the beginning of this video that I think Bitcoin is showing right now is this ascending triangle pattern right here. Now we're not quite hitting the resistance range. I could probably drag this a little bit lower and stretch this out a little bit more, but the whole idea here is that Bitcoin has had some really nice resistance and consistent resistance between about $43,000 all the way up to about $45,000. We're now finding resistance in this very same range again right now, and we've been able to hold more or less the same areas of support for quite some time as well. So there's a few different ways you can draw these just with these red lines here, but the overall idea, which is very important, is that we're generally setting a pattern of higher lows, and you can use these wicks, or I can zoom out onto the daily time frame, and I can just use the candle bodies, for example, because none of the candle bodies closed below this red line right here. Generally the trend is that we're putting in higher lows in this market. We're even doing it on shorter term time frames. If we look at Ethereum, for example, if we look at Ethereum just on the 1 hour time frame, take a look at this. By the way, I ended up making a trade which I shared with VIP members where my entry on Ethereum was right here, $1 above this line. Absolutely phenomenal entry level where I went long on Ethereum. I'm currently in a huge profit right now because I was able to dial it up with a little bit of leverage, and my stop loss is going to give me a guaranteed 24% profit if things go wrong as well. So really nice execution on that trade. If you want to jump inside of 𝗬𝗪𝗧𝗧 VIP and see how I was able to pull that off step by step, because I told VIP members absolutely everything I was doing, everything I was considering, why I was considering this trade. I was actually considering going short before, and I quickly changed my mind right at the end. And that's where I ended up entering that long position. So it was beautiful execution, really a very textbook trade. Check it out by joining 𝗬𝗪𝗧𝗧 VIP if you want to see how I managed to pull that off, and continue to watch me trading in real time as this market continues to develop. But right here with Ethereum on a shorter time frame, you can see that we formed again a really nice kind of rising support line right here, which the market is just kind of showing that, in my opinion, it's trying to be biased to the upside at the moment, and that can potentially give us an indication of where this thing is going to be rising up. Bitcoin forming ascending triangles at market bottoms is actually pretty common, where we end up trending really low. We set a key bottom in the market, which in this case was about $33,000, and then we start forming that ascending triangle pattern that looks something a little bit like this, and we blow up. The last time, in my opinion, that we saw something really significant like this, and I mean absolutely huge, was all the way back at the end of 2018, very beginning of 2019, where Bitcoin ended up falling into this $3,000 range from the 6K range. Shout out to those of you who've been watching this YouTube channel and VIP crushing the market since then. We've been very active in this market over the years, as you will know. Bitcoin managed to form another kind of ascending triangle right here at a key market bottom and managed to rise up. There's a few key similarities here which I think are also quite interesting, right? If you look at from the point that the market bottomed to the point that the market managed to rally up, it took 108 days. And if we move the chart over to where we are right now, we're not looking at such a large time frame like that, but it has definitely been a little while, right? I mean, from that market bottom to where we're currently trading now, that's 60 days. If we manage to push it to 100 days, I mean, this ascending triangle has space to accommodate for that. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I think that we're looking at way more volatility relatively soon. You guys will remember, if you've been subscribed to this YouTube channel, that I actually got on this channel about a week ago, and right before the volatility came back in, I told you guys, I have a feeling, I don't know what the feeling is, but I have a feeling that we're getting some volatility back in the market. I obviously still have that feeling, and it started to come through already, which is beautiful. And the thing to keep in mind with these ascending triangle formations, and by the way, there's a lot more that I got to talk to you about in this video. I haven't made a video in a while, so smash the likes up if you are excited for this one. Bear with me while I get to all the other stuff. There's so much to go through in this video, but one of the key things about these ascending triangles that I want you guys to keep in mind is that if we're pushing these support levels higher, but we're keeping the same resistance range, this is showing us that the bottom line sign for the bears is getting weaker, right? Obviously bears want to drive the prices lower, but bulls are continuously stepping in at higher prices, saying, you know, over here, okay, this is where bulls are ready to step in, but the next time the price drops here, bulls are actually saying, actually no, I don't want to, you know, wait for Bitcoin to potentially drop a little bit lower. I want to buy it right now. I think that this is a fair price. I think that this is a fair price. And so, you know, that kind of rises up, and if we're keeping the same ceiling, what we're getting is a lot of pressure moving upward from the support line, all kind of condensing into this one same point right here, where generally you see a massive blow up. And it actually usually happens between 66 to 75% of the completion of these patterns, which would, I mean, the completion would be somewhere around over here. The beginning was somewhere around over here. So we're actually kind of right around that 66 to 75% breakout point right now. I'm just eyeballing it. This is a very unscientific thing to say and do, but it's just, I mean, you know, generally you don't trade all the way up to the apex. And so this is showing us that I think, yeah, we are a little bit more biased to the upside. You know, the other thing that I want to show you though, which actually acts as this idea a little bit, is a huge resistance cloud right here on the daily time frame. Now you guys know that I use the Ichimoku cloud a lot, and if you don't know what this is or how to use it, then just pause the video right now and type this into the YouTube search bar so you can watch my free tutorial on how to get the indicator and use it. It is absolutely amazing. It's one of my favorite indicators that I've been using for, you know, nearly 5 years now. Super into this indicator in particular because it's just very reliable. And you can see right here that, you know, we more or less came to hit the cloud on this occasion right here. I don't know if I'm really going to count that one, but we definitely got 1 and 2 confirmed rejections from this Ichimoku cloud. We're now looking at test number 3. You know, I mean, these are pretty reliable indicators to provide resistance, but the last time that we hit this cloud, we only got 1 rejection and then we blasted straight through it. And I think that Bitcoin definitely could be in some sort of situation like that at the moment as well, just considering that we've already found a lot of resistance in this range. You know, there's already, you know, a little bit of a kind of push to the upside that I'm seeing, which is a little bit more clear if we look at this chart right here, where I've got this much more neutral pattern. This is actually what I would call a bearish symmetrical triangle, because Bitcoin was actually forming lower highs and higher lows. This is where, you know, like, it's kind of down to your own interpretation. If Bitcoin manages to rise up to 45k now, it would totally invalidate this bearish triangle, and that would be beautiful, but it hasn't happened yet, so I'm still going to keep this on my chart. This is definitely more of a bearish sign, and again, if we combine that with the Ichimoku cloud, yeah, I mean, it is showing us that we are looking to drop lower. But one of the things that I want to draw your attention over to is just how, you know, we're really trying to break these resistance areas right now, and at the same time that we've been rallying up. Take a look at this, right? The market really started to move up on the 14th of March 2022. If we take a look at the fear and greed index, it's absolutely beautiful what we're seeing right here. The reading is 31. Yesterday we had a reading of 26. This is going to update within just a matter of hours, but take a look at what's happened since the 14th of March. I mean, this is the first time in a very long time that we've seen some nice move to the upside with no increase on the fear and greed index, right? If you look at this rally right here, this was on the 9th of March. Didn't get a huge spike on the 9th of March. We went from a reading of 22 to a reading of 28. That was all right. But the one before that, you know, we're looking at kind of 1st, 2nd of March. Look at how high the fear and greed index jumps. It goes from 20 all the way to 50 in 1 day. In 1 day, ladies and gents, this fear and greed index jumps all the way back into neutral territory. And that's the kind of same story we were seeing during these pumps before, right? If we take a look at this pump here that took place at the beginning of February going in towards kind of early mid-February, take a look at what happens here as well. You know, beginning of February towards early mid-February, we go from a low of 20 again straight back into neutral territory. We're seeing similar price levels now, right? We're not quite up at $45,000 yet, but we're seeing similar price levels without such a huge spike in the fear and greed index. And to me, that's absolutely critical, right? I've been talking about this for a long time. So those of you, again, who are subscribed, who are hitting up the like button, showing your appreciation for these videos. If you are, I love you all so much. Thank you so much for all the supports, those little clicks and things like that. I know it's not a big deal to you, but it helps the channel so much, keeps these things running. So thank you all very much. You know, one of the things I've been saying is that when we get these big jumps in the fear and greed index, I'm not interested in the market anymore because I think it's going to come back down. But we're not seeing that right now. This is actually the first time where I think a lot of people aren't actually fully buying this rally. There's just a lot of like ambiguity, right? And one of the key ways I can show this to you, and this is one of the many points I wanted to bring up in this video, and I'm going to go back to the overall kind of ascending triangle picture in a minute because I want to tell you where I think Bitcoin could go as well, like some of the cool price targets I've got towards 57k. Very, very exciting stuff, so stick around for that. But one of the key things that I just want to draw to your attention right now while I've got your attention on this is actually what's happened with let's just use this line right here. Bitcoin had quite a long-term kind of resistance line right here, where it was constantly getting rejected. And I mean, we can draw this slightly differently on the logarithmic time scale. It's probably a little bit better or a little bit worse depending on your interpretation of things, but bottom line, we had this kind of descending resistance line for quite a long time, where from the absolute high to the point that we managed to break out, Bitcoin spent 86 days within this downtrend where it wasn't able to break above that red line of resistance. But since it did manage to break above that red line, it's now been 47 days. And I mean, this is quite a significant breakout in my opinion, right? To get a breakout like this, you would expect some nice follow through, but we didn't get it. And that's showing us that the market is really uncertain right now. I mean, the market is just not fully convinced. I mean, it's pretty much more or less, if it manages to rally up and then fall back down, I mean, it's going to be forming a very, very obvious rising wedge pattern before potentially breaking down, right? And so the market's still got quite a bit of ambiguity around it, but I quite like that, seeing as though it's potentially coming in at a market bottom, right? I mean, this is the range that Bitcoin previously bottomed out in. It's actually a little bit higher, which is even better in my opinion. And so to me, again, these are things that look, we have got this ambiguity. It's definitely not perfect, right? Bitcoin isn't in the perfect position in the most perfect position in my opinion right now, but it does have some really, really interesting signs which I think are well worth taking a look at. One of the other ones that I just want to draw your attention to as well right here, which I haven't even spoken about in this video, but it's one of the most important levels in this market in my opinion, is the $42,000 resistance area, right? And so that's this green box right here. This is an absolutely critical area, and it has been critical since Bitcoin first hit this area back in January 2021. If you cast your memory back all the way over here, Bitcoin managed to form a beautiful rejection right here at 42k, came all the way down to 30, and then blasted right back off. And so this was the first key resistance that we found since breaking up from 20k. That's a really big deal because Bitcoin went from $20,000 more than double up to 42, and that's where it found resistance. And so that's telling us that if we've got such a huge, powerful steaming train, and this one price level was able to stop the market, well, that's telling you a little something about that price level, and I think that's very, very important, right? And so we can see that we found a lot of resistance there. We even found a little bit of last minute resistance before we broke out. We found more resistance when we fell below. We even found a little bit of support, but you can't see it very well. Some more key resistance along this green box. A beautiful reversal that triggered a huge rally to the upside, and now we're kind of battling this very same resistance again, but generally Bitcoin doesn't actually spend this much time battling the 42k area of resistance, right? I mean, it generally is, if it's going to get rejected, it's fairly quick, and if it's going to break up, it's also fairly quick. And so we're kind of seeing something a little bit different here, where we're spending a lot more time around this resistance area. And when we do that, that's basically allowing the bulls and bears to become a little bit more comfortable at this price level, right? You're getting a little bit more accustomed to this, so that, one of the key things that people just don't think about, but I like to talk about this because I'm coming at this whole analysis game from like a real trader's perspective. Like I'm actually in these markets with you. Like I said, that's where I was able to pull a beautiful profit inside of 𝗪𝗪𝗡 VIP. Like I'm actually genuinely in this. I'm feeling all the same things you're feeling. One of the things that will happen, I'll just leave these steps on screen, by the way, if you just want to pause the video and join 𝗪𝗪𝗡 VIP while I'm talking about this. The steps are in the description down below. All you need is the first link in the description down below. But one of the key things to keep in mind, I think, is that if we're kind of hovering around $42,000 for a while, all of a sudden $45,000 doesn't seem like such an expensive point to buy Bitcoin, right? And the reason I'm saying this is, if you imagine that Bitcoin's down at 30k, and imagine that you're actually bullish or not bearish about it, 45k actually sounds like a really, really ridiculously high price level. But the longer we spend around these kind of price ranges, the more palatable, the more digestible higher price levels become. That's why when we keep kind of pushing ceilings in an uptrend, that's kind of where we are able to break them. It's what I was talking about when Bitcoin managed to break $20,000 for the first time. Again, those of you who are watching the channel back here will remember we had like a 100% hit rate with analysis and trades during this area right here. It was absolutely beautiful. Bitcoin was just kind of consolidating below $20,000, and all I was saying here is, I mean, look, there were some sellers in the market. They're getting exhausted. As soon as these sellers get exhausted and there's no more supply to sell, we're only going to have that underlying demand, and we're probably going to see the price shoot up. It's the same thing operating in the market right here, where we're just kind of getting more used to the 20k price level. So all of a sudden it's more palatable, it's more easy for traders to accept a price of 22,000, for example, to buy Bitcoin. And so I think that that's what could be happening right here as well, where I'm seeing us just kind of hover around this resistance area. Put it this way, I'm much happier to be stuck at resistance than I am to be stuck at support. Because when we get stuck at support, like what happened right here, Bitcoin is just kind of hovering around the 42k area, but as support, we collapsed below it, right? And so we still need to recover a lot of this market structure. We're still in a very bearish market structure overall, but I think that as soon as we're able to convincingly get above this 42k area, ideally, 45k is the level to break now, because we've been rejected from it on 3 separate occasions on this daily time frame. Actually, more like 5 or 6, depending on how you count it. So quite a lot of rejections. This is, I think, a very, very important area to overcome. And this actually takes me to where I think Bitcoin could be going now. And I'm going to talk about Ethereum in just a minute as well, because you guys know that I am in a trade on Ethereum right now. One of the cool things we can do with this pattern right here is actually just kind of draw a line up to get a target, and then we can just kind of put this at the potential breakout point. Let's just say the breakout point is the middle of this box. That gives us a speculative target of about $53,000, which is perfectly in line with my key area of resistance that I've been looking at for a long time. I firmly believe that if Bitcoin is able to rise above $45,000, it should have a fairly easy ride up to this area, which is where I expect it to capture a little bit more resistance, because this area triggered a huge reversal for the market before. I'm not too worried about it, and I think that we could still actually be looking at much larger price levels than that, much higher price levels than that anyway. And the key reason that I'm looking at potentially higher price levels than $53,000 is because if we do manage to rise up that high, we're actually going to be breaking the daily Ichimoku cloud. Take a look at this. The Ichimoku cloud doesn't stretch all the way up this high. And generally, when the market is able to kind of rise above the Ichimoku cloud, I mean, sure, we might have a little bit of a pullback, but it actually generally triggers really, really nice rallies to the upside when we break major daily Ichimoku cloud resistance levels. And that's exactly what we could be shaping up to do right now as well. So this is definitely something that I'm going to be keeping a close eye on as well. This can easily take us up a little bit higher to that next area of resistance, which is going to be around that kind of 57k area. But you know me, I've been saying for a long time that if we break 53, I'm looking at the the kind of 60k range. And honestly, I mean, yes, it would be resistance. I would expect it to be resistance, but it's almost just resistance in name. I mean, it's not. It's more like a formality than actual resistance, in my opinion, if we manage to get up that high. Of course, if we don't, then we're going to have to come down and find a little bit of support. And support right now with this chart is going to be at around $39,000. You can see how our baseline, our bottom line, keeps getting better as well, which is a nice sign. However, if we manage to fail kind of 39k, 40k now, the thing is that's going to mean that this is rally 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th rally since we fell below 42k. That may be failing, and to me, that's going to make this quite pessimistic. It's going to make it really, really nasty. I would have to come back to this market structure right here that I was showing you guys originally, and I'd be looking at low $30,000 for sure, potentially even breaking below 30k, but that's quite far away, so I don't want to talk about that just now anyway. I think that's just going to be a little bit of unnecessary fear for the moment. ETH against Bitcoin showing some strength but approaching resistance. Again, this very same resistance line has been incredibly reliable since May of last year. This is one of the highest accuracy piece of analysis I've been able to put forward on this YouTube channel over the past 12 months, and VIPs have benefited very, very well from it. So again, if you do want to jump inside, follow these steps on screen right here. But yeah, seeing a little bit of resistance potentially close ahead. We are nearing the apex of this pattern. So, you know, one of the things I was saying previously is, you know, anything that happens now is actually more important than what was happening before, in my opinion, because now, I mean, you know, generally we're not going to keep on, you know, condensing and condensing and condensing all the way up until the apex. You know, I mean, generally we have to break out, whether it's to the upside or to the downside. And right now we're teasing the upside, right? So that's pretty cool. Everything I said about Bitcoin for Ethereum is actually a little bit better. Ethereum has already formed its key breakout. Unfortunately, it doesn't have an ascending triangle pattern, but it has had a nice breakout nonetheless from this downward sloping resistance line. My long position was basically to enter a long position on Ethereum after this breakout if it returns back down to this red line, because I would expect this red line to turn into support, because previously it was resistance before many times, and that is exactly what happened. We've seen a beautiful rise right now. I'm just curious to see what my actual profit is at the moment. It's up by 5%, and I was trading this on 8 times leverage, so I'm in a 40% profit right now. 40%, absolutely phenomenal. Really good gain right there. It's gone all the way up to, because I did secure some profits up here, 6.5% higher than my entry. I'm not that good at math, so I don't know what that is in percentage terms, but I'm guessing it's around 50%. So that's pretty good as well. Nice 50% gain right there. But like I said, my bottom line, my stop loss is now in a guaranteed 24% profit. I can't lose money on this trade. I can only, in the worst case, make money on this trade, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm actually looking at quite a larger breakout for Ethereum. You know, if you watch my most recent Ethereum video, you're going to know that I was talking about its weekly engulfing candle, which is absolutely huge. You know, it didn't close as strong as I would have liked it to, but it still closed pretty well, in my opinion. Take a look at this, just looking at the last weekly candle right here. I wanted it to close above this candle, but we didn't get that. That's fine, to be honest. It doesn't really matter that much, but it's just a personal preference thing. So yeah, we managed to you know, eclipse the past 1, 2, 3 candles. We didn't actually get the wick, but I'm not worried about the wick. I'm only looking at the candle body. And you know, generally when we do form these kind of bullish engulfing candles, we'll actually break out by 20 to 30%. Or 40% after that, and that kind of puts us in the, you know, kind of mid $3,000 range, which is absolutely amazing. You know, or if we don't form a 20, 30, 40% pump, it's usually more like a 5 or 10x gain, you know. And I'm not gonna you know, try and draw that on the chart, but that's gonna put us in some pretty crazy price areas, like $15,000 for Ethereum, which I very much think is super possible in the long run. So, and you guys know my thoughts on this. I mean, you know, I am a Bitcoin maximalist, but as a trader, I'm way more bullish on Ethereum than I am on Bitcoin, purely because Ethereum has also proven itself like Bitcoin has, but Ethereum is a smaller market. And so naturally, I would expect it to actually perform a little bit more aggressively. For some reason my chart isn't working now, but it actually doesn't matter because that's all of my analysis. So if you have enjoyed this video, then you know what to do. Hit up the like, subscribe, tick the bell, do all that good stuff. If you want to trade on the very same platform that I'm using, it's not loading up right now because of my horrible connection, but check out Bybit with the link in the description down below. You're going to get some free cash when you sign up using my link and make your first deposit. So definitely check that out if you like free money. If you want to watch me trading in real time, then follow these steps to join 𝗪𝗪𝗡 VIP. They're watching me execute every single trade that I make in this market, whether I win money, whether I make money or lose money. You know, they are there seeing my thought process and what leads me to my decisions. You know, and like I said, you know, I am in this Ethereum trade right now. VIP members will continue to see how I navigate this, and I'm also looking at some more trading opportunities right now as well. So there's going to be more opportunity to see me trading in real time in this market, hopefully very soon, because I do plan on entering another trade relatively soon. Just depends on when I get the right opportunity, and of course I'll be briefing VIP members on that. So if you do want to jump inside, follow these steps on screen. Otherwise, I really hope you have enjoyed this one. I think it's been quite a long video, but it's good to be back, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.